Okay, it's 4:30, so I will call the meeting to order. Do we need any agenda changes?
No.
Okay. Chair's report, I'm say welcome to Arlene. I think it's her first meeting with us. And I know I worked with her already on the policy meeting the other day, and I believe maybe you're returning, like it sounded like a lot of people were familiar with you, Arlene, but welcome to Wellfleet, and we're really happy to have you here.
Thank you. Trying to unmute myself.
She's off to a great start.
That's great.
Thank you, Tom.
Are there any members that wish to speak?
I think so. I should do the delegate assembly. Should I do that now? Is that appropriate?
Well, yeah, I guess because it's not on the agenda, right? We didn't put that on. Sorry about that. So yes, why don't you speak a little bit about that? And then if we feel like it's worthy of an entire, we can add that on for next meeting.
Okay, sure. Yeah, well, first, I loved doing it. It was so much fun. So I'm glad I did it. Thanks for letting me. I attended the conference ahead of time, which was really great. The keynote speaker was Khalees Warnham, and she's fantastic. She has a she talked about cultural proficiency and a lot of equity things, which was the main idea of her speech, and it was really powerful. So that would be something. I don't know if the school has done any trainings with her, but she is awesome. So Mary Beth, I'd be happy to pass along her information or do more research. I mean, she was just unbelievable. Her and I can talk more about her with questions, but she was just awesome.
Thank you for that. I just finished up a part series on social consciousness.
Khalees Warnham, really glad I said it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks like she might have frozen there. Laura, can you hear us? Because you are frozen in our screen. All right, maybe she's just participants list here.
Yeah, it looks like she's frozen or
Yeah.
having tech difficulties on her side.
Yeah,
Oh, she just
okay, now
dropped
she's
out.
gonna-
So,
She's probably gonna go on and come back in. Okay,
yep, I'll let her in.
thank you. Are there any other members while we wait that wish to speak? No, okay. Here she comes.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, well.
My technology. Sorry. I lost my internet connection. So sorry, Mary Beth. It cut off right when you were speaking.
No, I just said I would love to chat with you because I have completed that 3-part series on social consciousness. So I bet there's quite a bit that we could discuss. And that in turn is what I'm sharing with staff during staff meetings.
Cool. Yes. Yeah. She was great. So yeah, I'd love to do that.
Could you say her name
that
again?
was the
Laura?
beginning. So her name, Khalees Warnham, Kalise. Her last name is Wornum. And she's got a website. So that was great. I was really glad I sat in on that. And then so then that was the morning, and then the afternoon, 1 o'clock was the actual assembly where we voted. And everything passed except number 10, resolution 10, which was the attendance monitoring. And that got tabled. That it didn't even go to a vote. So everything else was, other than this, the lower the voting age, that was a pretty hot topic, which was really interesting. And so, but like I said, everything 1 through 9 passed, except, and then 10 got tabled. And then the other thing I voted on was the president-elect. And I had done research ahead of time and thought I knew I was going to vote for, and then they each had 3 minutes to speak, and I changed my mind. So I voted for Andrea Wadsworth, and she ended up becoming the president-elect. She was great. So I voted for her, and she, I think, pretty much big majority won. So yeah, so it was fun. So again, thank you for letting me do it. I love that kind of thing, and I love seeing people debate, and so it was really fun. So thanks.
Great. I see
Any
Martha's hand up.
Okay.
Martha, you need to unmute.
I just wanted to thank Laura. Laura, thank you for jumping in, as a freshman. It was great, and I'm delighted that you loved it. Really good.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm glad I did it. So I'm excited for, if there's actually in person, it sounds really fun too. So seems like a neat thing. So Jill, I think I took your job.
Yes, Jill.
I as well am delighted you jumped in, and thank you for that. And I'm so glad you enjoyed it wholeheartedly.
Yeah, for
Good.
sure. Yeah. So any other questions on any of that? No.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, sure.
I'll move us on to citizen speak, and seeing none, I will move us on to priority business with Mary Beth's report.
I noticed a typo under school climate. Second paragraph, second sentence, it says the West Heath, should say health. So I missed that L. Also, just another teeny tiny one, the paragraph before the very last sentence, I forgot the period. Sorry. Other than that, any questions?
I was curious how the virtual parent-teacher conferences went.
People really enjoyed them. They really
That's good.
did. Yeah, they did use the Zoom platform because they could have people in the waiting area, and they really liked that. I know that with Google Suite, they're catching up now to Zoom and the capabilities that Zoom has. So hopefully by the next parent-teacher conference, we'll be able to utilize Google Suite. But no, everyone had really nice things to say. I think parents are very happy that kids are in school. I think parents are very happy with the remote learning that's taking place, and not one complaint. It's been, knock on wood, it's been a really smooth start to the school year.
That's great. I see Laura's hand up.
Yeah, I was going to do this last week, and Martha talked to it, but I just want to say personally, and I've talked to a lot of people, it's just everyone feels really safe and is so happy with everything that you all are doing. And I just want to thank you. Like I said, I've talked to quite a few parents and kids, and all just, they feel safe and they're happy, and that's really all we can ask for. And I've talked to people in a lot of other places that aren't feeling like that. So thank you so much, Mary Beth and staff. It's
And
just,
I have to say, the staff are coming, like everyone is showing up to work. Our attendance has been amazing with students and staff alike. and it really has been smooth. You know, I know that we may have some hiccups, but I think we have a real understanding across, you know, staff and families what the protocols are. And if we need to put those protocols into place, people have been very respectful and understanding. And, you know, a lot of it is what it is. We'll do whatever, you know, we need to do. But students and staff are happy, and it is a safe learning environment. So thank you.
And I do have one more question. I didn't know, are there any, with the new government or governor's state mandates, is anything changed on your end or schools end?
Not
No,
at this
okay,
time, no.
okay, good. Cool.
All right, any other comments or questions for Mary Beth on her report? All right, we'll move on to you, Tom.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to be covering a number of topics, so I'll be all over the map here today, and feel free to ask any questions or redirect. The first thing I want to share with you and make you aware of is that we do have what we call now a Labor and Management Committee. And its purpose is to make itself, this committee, available to go into each of our schools and have conversations about any issues that are taking place or concerns that need to be addressed. And so you're probably asking who would be on that committee. And so from the teacher side, it would be the 2 building reps and the staff member in that school who would be on the negotiations committee. And then you would have the vice president and the president of the union, Mark and Ann, as well. And then on the other side, of management side, it would be Carol Forgione, our HR person, myself, the building administrator, and that's generally what it's looked like going forward. Let me tell you that the plan was to go around to each of the schools and over time work through any of the problems. The great news for Wellfleet is it's the only district that at this time we're not even going in to visit. And that's a great tribute to the work that Mary Beth has done and her staff. Maybe you're saying, so what would be some issues, Tom, that maybe the other districts are really dealing with? Well, right now, we've been working on a couple of areas. We're talking about an elementary model that has in Orleans a model of teaching that an individual classroom teacher could be teaching the in-school model as well as the remote model. And that has proven to be very difficult. And we're looking at the possibilities of how to back our way out of the teachers having to do both of those teaching mediums going forward. And Eddie, because of the size of their classrooms, they were in a situation where they actually had to break up a class and have them in adjoining classrooms with a door between them with an ed assistant that would go in. For instance, I would go into the class as the teacher and go over some math that the students needed to learn, and maybe they were going to work on their problems. And so the ed assistant would just be observing that, not teaching it, but observing it while I went to the other group. And it was the only way to keep a few of these classes in the Eddy school versus shipping them over to the Stony Brook, which the teachers weren't in favor of doing. So at the middle school, there are some issues with the current schedule, and there's been a scheduling committee that has been formed to go ahead and look at some of those concerns. And we work our way through all of the schools, and we have, I think, 2 more to do. So it has proven to be helpful to sit down and have a dialogue and conversation about any issues that potentially were happening in the building to avoid people going forward with grievances. And it seems to have worked at this point so far. Any quick questions on that that I can help you with?
Negotiations, Tom?
Yeah, so the actual negotiations that were shut down because of the virus, we are anticipating being going forward right after the Thanksgiving break, which is just a couple weeks away, and everyone involved will be asked to go on a rigorous schedule so that we can push through and find some conclusion. Because it gets a little bit complicated in that we haven't settled the COLA for this year, and we're already talking about the potential COLA for next year. So we want to avoid that sort of confusion as we continue to discuss the budgets going forward. So that's our plan right now. And some work is going on, and has the work with the kitchen workers is really just waiting to see what the COLA will be. Everything else is, all the language has been agreed upon. Giovanna's been working with the custodial groups, and that's coming along very nicely. So it's really getting back with the teachers to push it through, and I'm looking forward to it, quite honestly. Thank you, Jim. Let me talk a little bit about a couple of other things. You know, we're really watching the pace and the feel in our buildings as we have launched the strategic plan out into the buildings. Certainly from a standpoint of school improvement plans, we want our staffs to begin to be comfortable understanding the document and spending time with it. And then I think the next big push is really out into the community, and it's you know, we're settling in very nice. And I think Mary Beth's comment about the elementary school in Wellfleet is going great. And generally across the board, the model for the elementaries is going well everywhere. And the two models for the high school are really designed because of the hybrid models, because of the size of the schools. And that's going as well as I think it can go. And the kids they're all getting time on the campus, but probably not quite as much as they would like to see. So that could be something we address going forward if we can. And so I'm looking forward to, Martha represents the strategic plan work, and we're looking to try and get some of the members on the committee working directly in the buildings. And it's a really important document, and I think it really spells out some really important initiatives that need to be addressed over the next few years. So we're anxious to watch that. We're having discussions about snow days, and we've at the administrative level at our meetings about the idea of going to remote learning on what would be a typical snow day. And we have a letter that's prepared to continue to look at that issue if we go forward, to inform everyone in our district about the concept. We are very fortunate to have a one-to-one device model for all of our students. And there's some discussion amongst the administrative team to practice with our youngest students, bringing the devices home at night and sharing with their parents, and then bringing it back to school so they're comfortable with it. Obviously, there are some potential issues. I think many of us remember a number of years ago that we had a real bad storm, and we had most of the communities didn't have power for 4 or 5 days. And of course, we would be sensitive to the fact of no power, and those wouldn't necessarily be expected days for kids to work at home. But a typical day when we get 4 or 5 inches of snow and it comes in early morning and we decide it's a little bit too slippery for the roads, calling out a snow day and pushing it to a remote day is a real possibility. And I think for those who are wondering, if I felt that the weather forecast was of some danger to us, I would, during the school day, give them advance notice to bring their devices home just in case, so that we were in that position. And the thinking right now, although it hasn't been finalized at this point, would be to go with that day's school schedule and stay on that schedule from a teaching standpoint. So, and we'll keep you posted as we continue to work on this, and have probably another conversation about this, maybe as an agenda item next meeting. High school building, I'd like to just give you a little bit update. Yeah, that's right. We were talking about doing a renovation project at the high school a long time ago. And we did have a meeting this past Saturday for strategic purposes to understand where are we at, what are some ideas and things like this. But we believe, and we're confirming from that meeting, that there are no more extensions to be had for this project. And therefore, this project has to be voted sometime in the springtime. And that will be it if you hope to hold on to the $36 million. We're also spending some time with our architects and engineers to look at if indeed the voters didn't see the need of this building project, we want to have a number for the cost of bringing up the campus's infrastructure to the codes required by the state of Massachusetts. There is some discussion, and this is being researched as I'm telling you, that the number could be very similar to the cost of the renovation and new building project.
Wow.
And that's, I think after we went through this ventilation situation in the late summer into the early fall, I think a number of people are certainly aware of some of the problems of that campus beyond just the school choice issue. And I think that's where it needs to be focused on is the actual facility itself. So stay tuned. We're now getting a committee together who will be working on how to come out into the communities and promote the project in terms of what it is. There are beautiful models that have been created that we would love to show off, and people have a visual idea of what that project would look like, and many, many other things as we get ready to really gear up. And it is now the time to get back on the track with that project. And so that's where we stand on that. I think you probably are aware, but we did have some sports at the high school. We participated in boys soccer and girls soccer and golf and cross country and field hockey. And there wasn't one issue with the wearing of masks by our student athletes and so forth. As a matter of fact, it went tremendously smooth for us. And it was for 250 students, a bright moment in their fall. And they'll be finishing up with some type of mini tournament amongst the league over the next few days. And that's where we stand with that. I do want to share with you that I believe you're all aware that Julie Cobalt has stepped away from the principalship at the middle school with my urging, because her daughter is in a hospital in Boston and has been for much of the last 3 or 4 months. And it is very clear at this moment that she is there and will be there until she gets her second heart transplant. And Grace is 23 years old, and it is a parent's nightmare, I'm sure. And we wish them the very best and pray for them as they wait patiently and hopefully safely for that heart to come to her. So that's where we are relative to that. I think that's a pretty good picture of what's happening around some of our other buildings and communities. But any questions that you have or anything you'd like me to speak to?
was wondering about winter sports. I know that we got a message from the high school principal saying there were beginning discussions, and I didn't know if that had come in anywhere.
Actually, your timing's perfect, Betsy. I just talked with our athletic director today. And, you know, it was hard for me to believe, but it could very well be that they're trying to hold on to basketball, and wrestling is of great concern. I'm not so sure we'll see competitive wrestling, but maybe they'll be allowed to practice. The track situation, with a big track program, but the problem with it is that we're involved with the Reggie Lewis Center in Boston, and one of the college program, and right now they're closed. And so we'll know within a week and a half to 2 weeks exactly what's going to happen. But I think with the success of the fall, there's going to be some adaptions to some of these sports. Hockey is one that I think they're trying to come up with some type of mask from a breathing standpoint that's acceptable. So we'll see. But I think you're going to see some sports. I'm not sure which ones and how many, but there'll be some type of program, I'm sure. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions for Tom?
Would you say, Tom, that the morale is almost as good in the rest of the communities as here in Wellfleet, or less than that? I mean, it's so challenging for teachers these days, and you know, I know we live in a rarefied atmosphere here because of Mary Beth and how she has a family, but I'm not sure that that's the same structure other places, and I wondered what you're dealing with there.
So I think that I would say in general, the atmosphere in all of our elementary schools is very positive because it's going well.
Okay.
And I think the issue, Jan, that's been difficult is that when we've had some issues with the virus,
Yeah.
it brings that building down for a period of time. And so, for instance, Eastham had a situation and a number of students, and they were close contacts. They didn't have the virus, but the close contact piece, when you look at this information, it's critical you understand there's a big difference between a person having the virus and being a close contact. And so I think that when that gets into a building, it's really hard. And interesting you bring that point up, Jan, that at our next administrative meeting, I talked to two of the teachers that came back from the Eastham situation. And I happened to be there the first day they came back, and I have never seen these two teachers, they're veteran teachers. I've never seen them any happier to be out of that quarantine.
Yeah.
And so we're bringing them to the administrative meetings to talk about their experience, because they have a lot of things to say that could help others if they have to go through that, as well as the building administrator who had to manage through that whole process. And it gets into things like how do the kids get their devices and their materials, because once they can't come back in, and we ended up going to parents driving by and picking up the equipment and materials and so forth, and likewise for the teachers to get their materials. And so there are a lot of layers to that. And the issue is that as we go forward and get into the cold season and the flu season, the symptoms are very, very similar. And my fear for the system will be the ability to sub these positions as they go out.
Yeah.
So let me give you a perfect example. A building administrator has a sinus infection, goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, under these circumstances, I want you to be tested. They didn't get tested and get the results back till Thursday night. They are out 4 days.
Right.
And we don't have, for instance, in our elementaries, we don't have assistant principals.
Right.
So in this case, quite honestly, I went every day to that school for 2 to 2.5 hours.
Mm.
And I was on call if they needed me. And so that's the problem when we get into numbers of people who have flu-like symptoms, cold-like symptoms, and they're shut down. Having the capacity to keep the schools open with the staffing we need. And that's going to be a challenge ahead of us.
Yeah. Is it realistic to expect that it will continue at this high level? I doubt that that is the case. My thought being that an attitude of however long we can do the best we can, and the best we can for the education of our children, that's great. And we can't be too terribly disillusioned if we have to close things down for 2 weeks, for example.
Right.
And, you know, if people are willing to accept that is part of their reality, it just might make it go easier.
Yeah, I mean, I've even thought about working with the building administrators to, when we get into December, understanding what a typical attendance report looks like. And you know, we've had days, I can remember just before February vacation, we had a sizable number of kids who are out. And I don't want people to read in just because people are out, it means that we have a virus issue and things like that. And so, you know, the beautiful thing of this is that tomorrow morning, if you just stood on the knoll and watched kids coming into school, they are happy kids, and the parents are happy to have them there. And if you stay focused on that and giving these kids these opportunities,
Right.
you know, we're gonna stay in this battle as long as we can, quite
Right.
honestly.
Good.
So, thank you.
All right, any other questions for Tom? Okay, I'm gonna move us along to the capital plan. Tom, are you gonna talk us through that, or is
So Giovanna's gonna take this. She was pushing it all
All right,
over to
Giovanna.
be able to do it. So, Gio, it's yours.
Thank you. Jim Nowak's not here, so I'm gonna fill in for him. He usually takes the lead on the capital plan for Wellfleet Elementary School. So we'll start with fiscal 22. The only item in fiscal 22 is the addition of the fire suppression system, the automatic sprinkler system. We're currently working with Habib. Jim had a meeting with the town manager, and they will utilize our house doctor that we have for the region to move forward with this. So we've got that, we're working on that. In fiscal 23, we have 3 items. We're looking to replace the exterior cladding, the weathered cedar shingles and trim, and that is $600,000. We're also looking to replace the exterior front doors and the preschool exterior door, and that's $25,000. And then we have the replacement of computers and technology for $10,000. So the total in fiscal 23 is $635,000. In fiscal 24, we're looking to replace the playground. Estimate is $350,000. The replacement of the downspouts with the white aluminum, $10,000. And then again, a replacement of computers and technology of $10,000. So the total in fiscal 24 is $370,000. In fiscal 25, we're looking to replace the stall partitions in both the student bathrooms near the library, $40,000 estimate. And again, replacement of the computers and technology in the lab for $25,000. And the total for fiscal 25 is $65,000. In fiscal 26, we're looking to replace the roof on the original building, and we're looking at an accelerated program that's most likely through MSBA of $390,000. And then again, replacement of computers and technology, $10,000. So $400,000 in fiscal year 26. In fiscal year 27, we're looking to go to a fuel conversion to high efficiency propane boilers, and that estimate is $300,000. We're looking to replace the dishwasher in the cafeteria for $16,000. And again, the ongoing replacement of computers and technology for 10,000. Total in fiscal 27 is 326,000. In fiscal 28, we're looking to replace and upgrade the communication system, $68,000. We'll replace the classroom faucets, 15,000. And then we're looking to strip, repaint, polyfinish, and repair the wood floor in the gym as required. And that is 46,000. And then the final item in fiscal 28 is, again, the ongoing replacement of computers and technologies of 10,000. The total in fiscal 28 is 139,000. Fiscal 29, we're looking to replace the restroom plumbing fixtures and finishes in the original building. Looking at a cost of 165,000. We're looking to replace the exterior doors, the library and the balcony doors, 25,000. And again, the replacement of the ongoing computers and technology, 10,000. The total in fiscal 29 is 200,000. In fiscal 30, we're looking to replace the hallway carpet, 45,000. And again, the replacement of the computers and the technology, 25,000. In fiscal 30, the total is 70,000. And finally, in fiscal 31, we're looking to replace the computers and technology of $10,000. And so that is our fiscal 22 and our 10-year plan for the capital at Wellfleet Elementary School. Any questions, Martha?
Yes, I do. And it might just be because recess was always my favorite part of school. Having been out for recess in September with the second and third graders without a playground, I'm wondering why we're putting that off until 2024. And I understand the building integrity is important, but I'm wondering if there's a way we could possibly do some of that, but get the playground done as soon as possible. My concern is there's really not a lot for the kids to do out there. There's some great climbing trees, but I have more gray hair now than I did before coming in.
If I could speak to that. With my meetings with head custodian Paul McHugh and with Jim Nowak, the plan originally was to have the playground bumped up, and the exterior cladding was broken up into 2 different years, but it has worn so much that they were very concerned about the integrity of the outside of the building. So with that being brought up and increasing that amount of money being asked, and also thinking that if we still need to continue due to COVID to have our classes outside, we would need that space. So it was sort of a trade-off between the current situation we're in, how long will that last, as well as the need for the integrity of the outside of the building. So we had to move something. And Paul was pretty adamant about the cladding needed to be done in 1 year as opposed to splitting it over the 2 like we had in the previous capital improvement plan. Thank you. And the other thing I wanted to mention is every 5 years we put $25,000 in, and that essentially replaces the computers and the laptops so that they're compliant with MCAS.
Any other, Jan, I see your hand.
Yes, I wanted to ask Giovanna, how many of these things, because I couldn't find last year's list, how many of these items are new to our plan? And how many are just readjusted as need be? Do you have any feel for that?
They're readjusted, Jan. I don't think I had anything new added.
Nothing new. Okay.
Nothing new was added. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm trying to get at ultimately is, so our FinCom has seen this before.
Right. And we've
They've
just
seen,
adjusted.
they've seen these numbers before. Okay.
The only number they hadn't seen was the adding of the fire suppression system. We had it estimated quite low in comparison to what it came into. So we had it at 630,000, and now it's a $1.2 million project. So I had already, when I had spoken to Fred McGee, he said it's not going to be $630,000, Mary Beth. It's going to be closer to $1 million or just over. So when I let him know what the project came in at, a projection, he thought that was more accurate.
Okay. Did we not pass at town meeting some portion of that for the system?
Yes, it was the architectural feasibility study.
Oh, that's all it was, huh?
Yeah, for 110,000, I think.
Right.
It was.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else on the capital plan? Well, since Jan sort of jogged my memory of town meeting, I do want to, and probably something just for us to consider as our capital plan moves on each year and we're, adding to it or revising it a little bit, is that at town meeting this year, Wellfleet did pass a commitment to going carbon zero by 2050. And so I just think we need to, I'm not sure, I kind of looked over the list, but I'm not really sure which items might apply and which don't. But I'm wondering if maybe Jim, we could give him that charge just to get an eye on that for us. I mean, I realize that at this point, probably that kind of technology is going to be more expensive than not, but then it would be a conversation we could have with the town, seeing is that, here we are projected out to 2031 and they're saying 2050. So, how much do they want us to participate in that? It would be a great conversation with the town, I think, as we move forward. All right, seeing no other hands up for the capital plan. Giovanna, do you want to go over the FY21 budget?
Oh, wait.
Did you want to?
Oh, I'm sorry. I see Mary Beth's hand up.
Would you kindly approve the capital budget?
Sorry about that.
Share that with the FinCom, please.
Okay, so we do need to vote on that. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept it as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Martha. All in favor? Can we see, Arlen, can you see all of us on the screen? Okay, then we'll just raise our hands and you let us know when to put them down.
I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay.
Unanimous, yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to Giovanna's report.
Oh, hold on a second. I seem to have lost my report. All right, let's go directly to page 10 of the report, please. The prior month balance was $195,700. We spent or encumbered $72,407 since last month's reporting, leaving a balance of $123,293. We still have 2 reclassifications to be made that are not reflected on this report. When we prepared the FY21 budget, we had earmarked the use of school choice money to the tune of $20,000. So we have not reclassified expenses from line item 4011, contracted services on instructional technology. And in addition, we earmarked the use of circuit breaker funds, $37,118, using account number 4067. So those will have to be reclassified. Those are for special education contracted services, medical therapeutic. So if you add those 2 items back, because those expenses will be charged directly to those respective accounts, we're looking at a balance of $180,411. Now I'm going to go over some of the line items that had movement of over $1,000 since last month's reporting. So starting on page 2, towards the bottom of the report, line item 4067, the special education contracted services medical therapeutic. Here we spent or encumbered $40,959. And as the description says here, we will reclassify the negative amount here of $37,118 of expenses directly to circuit breaker. Okay. Any questions on page 2? Moving on to page 4, at the top of the page, 4019 salaries ed assistants. Here we had a movement of $4,292. We had a variance due to staff changes. An ed assistant is now working as a teacher, and we had 1 resignation here. So that's the difference since last month's reporting. The next line item 4070, special education salaries ed assistants. Here there was a movement of $22,317. The variance here is a negative $47,902, and that's due to contractual language due to step and lane changes, which are budgeted in the reserve for negotiation line item 4200. And those amounts will be reallocated once the contract negotiations are complete. In addition, we have 1 position that is being split between West and Eastham Elementary School, and that differential between the ed assistant salary and the teacher salary, that 50% will be billed to Eastham Elementary School. And we also had an additional hire to replace an ed assistant who is now a remote teacher, and it's still coded in this line item. Okay. Any questions on page 4? Okay, moving on to page 5, towards the bottom of the page, 4034 instructional hardware. We encumbered $4,945 since last month's reporting, and this is due based on need. We did have items that were charged to capital for the Wi-Fi access points, but this is the licensing for that, and the licensing needs to come out of the operating. It's not covered through capital. So this is the amount that was charged to the operating account. Moving on to page 6, towards the bottom of the page, line item 4041, the substitute nurse. We encumbered $1,600 since last month's reporting to cover any costs. We encumbered to budget to cover any costs when the nurse is out. Moving on to page 7, at the top of the page, line item 4045, the regular day transportation. Here we have a positive variance of $7,907, and that represents the savings that were passed along to us from the collaborative as a result of last year's savings, because we didn't provide transportation for 3 months. So the buses were idle. We didn't incur expenses for fuel, repairs, etc. Moving further down, line item 4087, the special education preschool transportation. Here again, we have the same situation as the regular day transportation. We had savings, and those savings have been passed on to us by the collaborative, and those savings total $2,473. Moving on to page 8, line item 4050, overtime custodian. We spent $1,049 since last month's reporting, and that's all based on a need due to cover absences and any additional cleaning. Moving on to page 9, at the top of the page, 4055, contracted services building. We spent $2,138 since last month's reporting, and that's as a result of costs incurred, some of the costs for the custom vent covers and at the applicable installation. The rest of the expenses for that are in line item 4058, further down, the contracted services extraordinary maintenance. And that we see $2,000 since last month's reporting, and that's all between the 4055 and 4058 was a total cost incurred of about $3,100 for that. And that's my report. Any questions?
Do we have any questions for Giovanna? All right, thank you so much. Okay, we're moving on to approving of a second read for the harassment policy. We had read this one, approved it for the first read at last meeting. So any conversation on this item? Or a motion?
I move that we accept on the second reading the harassment policy.
I second.
Great, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay,
Thank you.
good. All righty, let's see here. We're ready for reports and information. And we will start with the Cape Cod Collaborative with Jill.
There was a meeting on October 14th, and there will be a meeting tomorrow. One of the biggest topics is transportation, whether it deals with not having enough drivers or issues with other issues with transportation. So not enough drivers. Nantucket especially is suffering. They had 8 drivers, and right now they only have 4 out of 8 of those former drivers. They're having one heck of a time getting drivers on Nantucket. The rest of the drivers on the mainland are mostly, a significant number are over 65. Some drivers have opted out for now with the COVID times, so there is a big need for drivers. I understand it's about a 2-month course to become a certified bus driver. And I'm just putting that out there to the world, the public here, in case you have an inclination or already qualified. An issue that bus drivers are having with children and parents, families, parents are supposed to reserve, if you will, let the collaborative know if children will be riding the bus because of COVID and, the every other seat business and all that. So there has been the issue that there's been children at bus stops needing to be picked up, but parents haven't notified the collaborative. And in theory, the bus drivers are not supposed to take those kids because it's already been deemed who's sitting where. So that was a problem anyway last month that got reported. The collaborative is still looking for, of course, real estate for when the Waypoint program, the alternative high school program, loses its space. There has actually been some places coming forward, such as the YMCA Camp Burgess has space on its campus, on its grounds, and has made overtures to the collaborative that could be a possibility. Again, Waypoint has space at the old wing school building in Sandwich until the December 2021. So there's time, but of course it's something that needs to be explored. There is a facility subcommittee that is pursuing this. Another possible option, there's about a handful of ones, but Bridgewater State, which has the building that used to be MacArthur Elementary School, where I used to teach half-day kindergarten, half-day integrated special needs preschool. That is no longer an elementary school, but was one at one time. And the bones are good in that school. I know it pretty well, and a lot of space. Bridgewater has made overtures to collaborative about working together on that building. So in other words, Bridgewater State would be using the building for classes at nighttime and the weekends. And it's a possibility that maybe the collaborative might have some sort of agreement with Bridgewater State. That needs, of course, to be ironed out. Definitely, the need could be for offices for the collaborative as well as possible classrooms. So I'll keep people updated on that. Bridgewater State has been offering classes, a graduate school class for special needs certification that 11 staff members at the collaborative are taking advantage of, as well as some people from outside districts and member districts. So the Bridgewater State has been working along with the collaborative for courses, workshops of need. Attendance, the administrators of the two different programs, of the both of the programs, the STAR program, which deals with the younger children, there's been 90% attendance, in-person attendance, and apparently that's working out very well. I remember too that they did have summer school over the summer, and it was a sigh of relief that it went so well. So they've already been immersed, in this sort of situation. High school, the alternative high, the percentages aren't as stellar as the younger kids. Right now, it was reported about a month ago that it was 75% of the alternative high school kids were in person for various reasons. Those are the highlights.
Thank you, Jill. Does anyone have questions for Jill? Great. I look forward to hearing about Bridgewater State. It's great to see that building become such a part of the community. Preschool enrollment, we did get a report from Arlen. Did anyone have questions about that? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to the PTA. I was contacted by Charity last evening, I think. I don't know, I'm not good at checking all my emails. But I did receive an email from her, and she had a sort of enhanced list of fundraisers that she wanted approval for. I am not sure if, since it's not an agenda item, if we can do that, but I thought we could talk about what they were interested in and then maybe put it on future agenda items. I have to just close this and then find the email from Charity. Here we go. So several of them on the list we had already approved last time, but I just want to bring up, so they're adding to the list book fairs, West Fest, only in the event of COVID restrictions that are lifted, Live Wellfleet merchandise. Then there was one called Popcornopolis, popcorn sale. So that's an online popcorn sale. Raffle for themes baskets at Spaghetti Supper. That is extremely tentative. A spaghetti or barbecue dinner in the spring only if COVID restrictions are lifted, and a painting night for adults, which would be virtually or in person only if COVID restrictions are lifted. So I don't know, Mary Beth, if you were needed to add anything to this, but I did tell Charity that I could share it during my report, but I wasn't sure we could vote. I don't really think we can vote on it since it wasn't on the agenda.
Now, the only thing that I had commented was the popcorn with the wellness policy. And she completely understood that. And then she referenced that, West Fest offers a variety of foods and things like that. So she wasn't sure if perhaps the school committee would consider that as one of the fundraisers just for this year.
Okay, so I guess I do just want to kind of double check. Should we not vote on this?
I think you need to have it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we get to future agenda items, I'm going to suggest that, and then I will contact Charity and just let her know that it will be on next month if we so decide. So that is the Sorry, I muted myself. That's the PTA report, and I'm just gonna call on Martha for a strategic plan.
I can only talk about anything on the strategic plan through other meetings that I've been to. I know that, and I guess I can do both of those at the same, oh no, I'm not on there for that. But anyway, the school council is using the strategic plan to help devise a school improvement plan for the upcoming years. So it's really wonderful for me to see, to be part of that, to see it actually beginning to come to fruition. And if you'd like, I can jump right into the next substance abuse mental health task force meeting. And I think the most important thing that, well, first of all, it was wonderful to meet Mary, the new student, I forgot her title.
Student
Services person. Yes, yeah. She was great. She was very interested in listening to all of us, very welcoming to us. I just really enjoyed getting to know her a little bit. And what has happened at that, I'm looking at the wrong notebook here, sorry. What had happened at that meeting is that we decided as well that we would use as much of goal 3 in strategic learning, which is social emotional learning, to help us make sure that we're plugged into the very same things that we're looking for in the strategic plan. The other thing we wanted to work on is making sure that all of us, all of the schools, the staff, everybody has a good understanding of how we can help students in crisis and how we can get better at that. That's a piece that we really want to make sure we're all consistently excellent at doing. The other thing that we wanted to talk about, and we will be talking about, is focusing on the high school block that they have had, and using that as an advisory block for students and how that would work out, revisiting that whole process. Because basically one of the things we want to make sure, and this is from the strategic plan, is that every student has some connection with an adult outside of a classroom teacher or subject teacher in the school. And we thought that we would revisit that advisory block idea, and also look at programming in the middle school for that same kind of thing going on. Last year, one of the things that a few of us really wanted to talk about was our mission statement and revisiting it, reformatting it for the kind of work we're doing. And the final thing we're thinking about is changing yet again the name of our committee. Some of us have an issue with the term substance abuse, and since substance issues and mental health issues all are under the category of behavioral health, maybe changing our name to something a little less stigmatized would be a good idea. So that's where we are. And we'll be meeting again in December or November, December. I don't know when we're meeting again. November 23rd.
There you go. Closer than you.
Okay.
Just a quick question though, Martha. I should know this because I have a high school student, but are they having the advisor blocks now when they're? No, I don't think so.
I don't know, Tom. I don't
we
think
know?
so.
Not officially, and they use that Wednesday as an opportunity to have office hours for the students.
Okay.
But, so I think any work that Martha and that group is doing to help promote that, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Martha on her report? Okay, then we are on to our wellness subcommittee. Is there any report on that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Then future agenda items. So I am going to request that we put the PTA fundraiser requests on. And do we need more information from Laura about masks? Do we want a presentation about her work with the delegate or anything like that, or were we satisfied? Looks like we're satisfied. Great. Anybody else? Are there any other agenda items that anybody would like to propose for next time? Jan?
Will we have a tentative budget next time? In December, do we usually have a first draft budget?
So there's a distinct possibility they won't be in place until after the holiday break. And we just wanted to push them back, quite honestly, to take some pressure off everybody in the system to have time with the opening and so forth. So it looks like we'll definitely see it when we get back from the holiday season.
In January,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
We're going to try and get the central office budget done here in the very near future
Yeah.
and take care of that one. So.
Okay. Thank you.
And Jan, I did hear our new town administrator is working a little slower than Dan Hort's old agenda in terms of that. So
Okay.
we'll still be good. If
Yeah, it's
We're in good
strange
shape.
times for
Yeah.
everything, so.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so I will now bring us to approval of the minutes. Did anybody have anything about the minutes? Okay, I'll take a motion then. Martha,
I move that we approve the meeting minutes of October 13, 2020 as written.
okay, and Jill, I saw your hand.
Second,
Second. All in favor, so just put your hand in the screen.
Perfect, thank you.
Great. And bills, actually, I've already paid the bills for this round. I'll be paying them next week. So that's all set. I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So move.
second.
We got 3.
I have to say, it hasn't hit me until this meeting. It didn't bother me last month. It didn't bother me over the summer, but suddenly I miss you guys so much. I'm getting all weepy here.
Oh,
It's,
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
enjoy
Thanksgiving.
tomorrow, Mary Beth. Don't work.